Man, I'm hyped again. It brought me back.
Man.
It brought me all the way back.
It's been too long.
That's all it took. That's all it took was watching that. Every time I watch that video, I go right back to where I was, just so hyped up. I'm telling you, that's my second favorite moment of the entire season. That video, not even that moment.
Yeah.
Just right now watching that.
You can feel the raw emotion just in that video. Yoke, Jamal, just them embracing.
You know,
you can feel that. You can feel that.
It also reminds me of us doing the exact same thing.
That's what I was going to say. I remember that exact moment for us, and it was the same thing, like this crazy total euphoria. Welcome in, everybody, to the DNVR Nuggets podcast, the DNVR show. I'm your host, Adam Matas. I'm joined by D-line parentheses Eric.
That's right. Here I am. I need to make sure that people understand that I have a nickname that I'm not that excited about, and a real name that I'm also not that excited about.
You're in both cases. That was inappropriate. You should not be proud of either of those. A man who should be very proud of his name because it's a gorgeous one. Harrison Wind.
So I couldn't tell if it was my internet cutting out during that video or if there were just a bunch of stuff that our guest on today's show had to bleep out.
I think I know the answer to that one because you're right. Every time I watch it, I too think that I'm like, what's going on? Oh, yeah, that's right. They're just cursing up a storm right now, as they should be. Today's show's very, very special, though, guys, because we have on who many people are calling the Stanley Kubrick of Denver Nuggets videography. That's what many people are saying.
People are talking. People are talking.
The person who filmed that very video and so many other videos for the Denver Nuggets, it's Taylor Vincek. Taylor, welcome onto the show.
Oh, thank you guys for the compliments. I appreciate that.
Look at the crowd going wild.
Unbelievable. They love Stanley Kubrick.
They do love Stanley Kubrick.
Taylor, how long did that video take to edit is my first question.
It took a little longer than normal. But yeah, it was hard because it was before we even left the arena and the music is still going and everyone's in the locker room and I'm like trying to listen with my earphones because I have to get all the F-bombs out and I'm like, oh my God. So yeah, it took a little longer than normal, but you got to get it out. So.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how nervous are you for those types of videos when you're like, okay, triple check, make sure I didn't miss any F-bombs or anything like that?
Yes, I would say 50% of my job is making sure that everything is good to go. I did have a little mix up with the Utah video. So when the Clippers video happened, I was quadruple checking, emailing all my bosses, make sure there's nothing bad.
Wait a second. You had a video come out that had a few.
There was one swear word, and I really pride myself on getting all of them. So.
Wait, hold on. Yeah. These players swear?
I know,
they use colorful. I've never heard it. So, all right. Well, that's jarring to hear.
So, if it wasn't clear from our very weird intro, guys, I'm not going to lie. If wasn't clear, Taylor is. So I take it from your bio, you don't like to be called the camera person?
Oh, I don't. Yeah, I get called camera girl all the time. So
yeah.
It's kind of just my second name at this point.
producer, editor, maybe more appropriate, and somebody who's always filming the Denver Nuggets. That's your job. Your job is to film the Denver Nuggets doing things.
Yeah. It's a super awesome job. So I get to watch basketball all day. I get to edit basketball all day. It's kind of a dream gig. So this is your second year, is that right? Or has it just been the longest year ever? I can't remember. I'm going on year 4 at altitude.
Oh, wow.
But I've just been with the Nuggets for the last 2 seasons. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really cool. And have you enjoyed this? I mean, what was your connection to the Denver Nuggets prior to getting this job?
Well, as you guys know, I'm from Alaska, so we don't have pro sports teams there. So
you want to know something funny? I've never heard an accent from you until you just said I'm from Alaska. That was the first time I heard the Alaska accent.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know I had one. But yeah, so I mean, no pro teams out there, obviously. So you just kind of pick and choose as a kid, what your teams are. And so when I moved to Colorado for school, I'm go Rams.
Yeah.
Hey.
Oh, God.
Unbelievable.
How did we let her on this podcast?
But yeah, so I mean, obviously, just adopted those teams real quick, and just been really fun to cover them.
I feel like Alaska is a distant cousin of Colorado, if that makes sense. Some states there's a little. I can see it.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of Alaska kids go to either Colorado or Hawaii for.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. So.
Hawaii, I guess you could put there too. Yeah, they're like
Wait.
extended. You know.
Yeah, wait, what? Colorado or Hawaii are the two?
Yeah, I mean,
Makes no sense at all.
yeah, I mean, I think kids are just like, oh, like, let's get out and let's go, get out of our cold, dark Alaska and go on an island. So
I feel like Georgia and Colorado, those are two states that have like nothing in common. They're not
No,
not
yeah,
cousins.
no relationship.
No
No rela-
relationship. But then you go, to Alaska. I feel like a lot of relationship, very similar. In my
Are you just
experience.
is this based purely on the mountain thing?
Yep,
Is there any other?
that's what it is, yep.
All right. Well, hard to deny that line of thinking.
We already getting your fans are popping into the bubble already. The best videos of the bubble. There were some really, really good ones. So we want to talk a lot about the bubble, a lot about just your overall experience. But first off, when did you get when did you find out you were going to the bubble, and what was your reaction like when they were like, "Hey, guess what?"
yeah, I mean, there was a lot of talk about like who was going to go, when we were going to go, like if the Nuggets were going to allow a videographer to go. And I probably found out like 2 weeks before we left that maybe start getting ready to pack. And Bob Nikolai, I'm sure you guys know Bob. He's our senior producer, and we kind of went back and forth, and it was kind of like he was going to produce Nuggets 360, from home, and I was going to go to Orlando and send all that stuff back. And it worked out really well. It would have been amazing if we had two people there, but I'm pretty sure it was across the board. All NBA teams could have one content person.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Go ahead. Harrison.
I was going to ask did you have any second thoughts about going? Because like we saw players opt out, we saw staff not go, or were you just like, I'm definitely going. This is the opportunity of a lifetime.
Yeah, I was definitely, at first I was like, well, okay, at a minimum, we're going to be gone for like 53 days. And, if we go all the way, I think it was going to be like 100 and something. And I was like, when am I ever going to get an opportunity like this again? I know, I feel like I know the staff pretty well, and like they're really good guys, and I knew that they were going to make my life easier, and really was just ready for the challenge.
Have you ever been to Disney World before?
Yes.
Will you ever go back?
I'm not ready to go back.
So you had been to Disney World before, so you
Yeah.
had like a little idea of what maybe it was going to be like.
Yeah.
Was it anything like that, or was this a completely?
One thing I have to say is like the Disney staff is just absolutely incredible. Like they're so kind. They're just always smiling. I was like riding a bike one time, and there's this lady that worked for Disney, and she's like, on your left, or wait, no, on your right, or wait, no, whatever works for you. Like they're just like so kind. And,
That's
like,
too nice for me.
Yeah.
I don't like that. There can be too nice. What was I just had one on here that I wanted to tee up for you. Oh yeah, just like where did you what did you do?
Yeah.
When
You had to look that one up.
I had to
Let me
look
see.
that one up.
Question
Hold on, I have
number
a
one.
question here.
What did you do?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, it was a lot of basketball. It was like at first when there was no games, it was, it was waking up, going to practice. The guys would practice for a couple hours. I would go back to my room and edit, and because I had to do photo and video, because usually I'm just a videographer. So there was a learning curve on the photo side for me, but it was just a lot of editing and a lot of computer screen time. So
I feel like that's a lie.
really,
Calling her out. So
I have
early.
an adversaryal interview style. No,
Yeah,
I'm
this
serious. Like, because there was games every other day, so you had that much editing to do. Because to me, like we were writing, and I guess we did feel busy throughout the thing. But I'm imagining if I was locked in a hotel room, that there would have been hours
yeah.
where
Well,
I'm like,
know what, Adam? There was a lot of Netflix, but I wasn't going to say that.
See, I called it out. There was some truth to this. I knew it. One of my other questions, this is where I wanted to go with it. You were talking about how nice the staff was. Russell Westbrook, I know, left an $8,000 tip when he left. Was your tip higher or lower than that? When
Well, I don't make Russell Westbrook money, but
That's not the question.
That's an excuse, but
if I did, it would have been. I mean, they were so kind all the time. Like they would come in when we were either at a game, not at practice. Yeah, it was at a game, and like they were in full protective gear. Like everything was super like clean, and so yeah, they were great.
That's awesome. That's what everybody is. That's like the one thing I've heard from everybody. Two things. One is that they got really, really bored at large stretches, and two, that the staff was just like ridiculously over the top nice.
Yeah.
What was the preparation like leading up to you arrive? Like you said there was 2 weeks, but did you have to shelter in place and like avoid all contact for a certain amount of time?
Yeah, I mean, so the team and the traveling group, there was COVID tests every other day at Pepsi Center.
Okay.
And they weren't like the nice ones. They were the like up in your business.
Into your brain.
And, yes,
Yeah.
so that was not fun. But I mean, it was kind of like one of those things where we didn't exactly know who was all going at that point. But if you were like possibly on the travel team, then
Right.
like, you needed to be tested like for 2 weeks out.
I feel like the bubble was the safest place on earth. When they were ramping up for this, and some people were like, you expect the players to go there.
Risk
and this
their
and that,
lives.
And risk their lives. And I remember thinking, like, I think it's going to be significantly safer than, like, just the world.
Yeah, I mean, I felt super safe. And like when we were about to leave, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to get tested every day. I have to go to the grocery store.
Right.
So
Was there panic? Like, coming back to the real world, did it feel a little bit like that? Like, wow, look at this germified space.
yeah, I mean, maybe for me, I think, players were probably ready to get out. But I mean, I didn't talk to any of them personally about their feelings about leaving. But I know for me, I was like, oh boy, like real world stuff now. So.
What do you got there, Harrison?
Well, I was just going to ask, like, so you arrive in the bubble, you got to quarantine there for, like, 48 hours, return 2 negative tests, right?
Mm-hmm.
What are your first impressions of the bubble? Like, do you get there and you're like, okay, this thing's going to suck, this is like jail? What are you thinking when you walk on the Disney World campus?
Yeah, my first impressions, I had a really nice view, so that was nice.
Oh, nice.
But gosh, I'm trying to like, feels like years ago at this point. I knew we didn't see any of the conference rooms that had been like changed into basketball courts or meal rooms. So I didn't have a layout just yet.
Wow.
But they had like info pamphlets for us of like things to expect. And it was just like super weird. Like, everyone was on the like plane there, like getting there together. We're all super excited, and then we just like all have to quarantine. We don't see each other for a couple days, so that was super bizarre.
Where are you seated when the games start up? Like, are you right there on the bench with everybody?
No, so I would be across the court. There are all the TV cameras that were doing like the wide angle. I'd be next to the TV cameras. But then as like the playoffs got deeper and deeper, we moved like right behind the hoop. And so that's like when I was able to like get bench reactions and stuff was the playoffs. So that was awesome.
Is that better access than usual? Like before the pandemic, were you able to get closer for those shots?
No, I would say like pre-pandemic was better because like we weren't really allowed to leave our seats. So thanks again, Adam, for ratting me out. No, but it was, I mean, everyone saw my like stuff. So like they knew that like, I was behind the hoop, and like they knew that like I was like by the bench like in the last 2 minutes of the game. But yeah, it was nice because when teams win, cameras and reporters, everybody swarms the court. But with nobody there, like I feel like I got a lot of that like natural sound and a lot of that like reaction. So
yeah, I feel like that was one of the weirdest things about the bubble. Like typically when a game ends, it's like crazy. The crowd's going wild if it's a close game. Like there's so much going on. When a game ends in the bubble, it's just like it's just dead silence, right? Like nothing's going on. That's like one of the weirdest aspects to me.
Yeah, like the scoreboard like goes blank, the music stops, like, and you're just like,
it's almost like it's a total soundstage. It's just like a soundstage that's like changing and just getting ready for the next act.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that's pretty spot on. That's exactly what it felt like.
You talk about the sound. I mean, one of the things I'm curious about, and everybody has said that when you're there, you can hear every conversation and like so like, just tell us what was that like? Was there more trash talk than you expected there to be in an NBA game, or less? Yeah,
tell us something you could get somebody canceled.
So like during the regular or during Pepsi Center games, sometimes I'd get to sit on the floor. And I would hear stuff like, you'd hear players chirping or talking to the refs. But when I got to sit behind the hoop during, those playoff games, I was so shocked that players can get away with talking to the refs the way they do. I was like, oh my gosh, how are they not getting ejected? I was just like blown away. I was right behind the hoop when Marcus Morris.
I was going to say, whatever Marcus Morris said. Let's hear it.
And then, I mean, it was just really exciting because it was just like, Paul is such a leader, and he just like really he didn't really have to say much. And obviously you guys saw the game, and like he just took over, and that was probably like top 3 bubble moments for me was Game 5 of the Clippers. So.
Because of that moment, because Marcus Morris, in your opinion, whatever he said was so far like over the line that it just like flips. Because that's what Paul Millsap says. He talks about that game and he's like, we just got sick of like they woke us up in a certain way. But you're saying because you were there and whatever it is you can't fully share, you're saying no, you totally get it. That would have woken anybody up.
Yeah, I mean, it's just. I can't even explain like how exciting it was to just like watch that go down, and then everything that happened after that. It was just like, holy smokes! Like they're gonna do this. Like, and I know everyone knows exactly why they did it, and so it was really
That's
cool.
so cool. See, this is a story. You're telling me some new information. This is providing new context to that series.
I'm so jealous.
I know, me too. I'm very, very, very jealous. So, did you develop I don't want to say hatred for the Clippers, but did you? By the end of the series, were you just like really wanting to get that one, you personally, not even the Nuggets, like you personally?
Yeah, no, Game 7 was, I mean, when did we come back? It was like in the 4th, when it was just like, holy smokes, we're going on a run. Holy smokes, we're going to win this game. Holy smokes, we're going to win this game by a lot.
Yeah. That's what that timeout, the video, the intro video, that's what that video represented, because there was still 5 minutes left in the game, but it was like, dude, this is either going to be a comfortable win or a blowout, but it's over.
Yeah, and like I went into Game 7 like super nervous, and like I was like, I really, that first series was like amazing and incredible, and whatever happens with Game 7. But then then the Nuggets like won like handedly, and we were like, oh my gosh, this was amazing. So yeah, it was awesome.
Can you read body language? We do this stuff all the time because it's so fun. But like, there was 2 moments I felt like Denver was going to win Game 7. One was right after Game 6 when Way Off P says we're in the driver's seat, and it was like very clear they were no longer in the driver's seat. So if you say that, you're not reading the room right. And the second was the pregame interview with Michael Malone when he was joking about wearing his black and our black is better than their salmon. I've never does like Malone doesn't do this unless he's feeling good. Like Malone, you can sometimes tell when Malone's really nervous or really loose, and he seemed to me really loose. When you're watching these guys that close and stuff, do you kind of get a sense for they're confident tonight or they're a little tight tonight?
Yeah, and like, I'm not going to pretend to be like some, behavioral analyst, expert or a Nuggets expert or by any means, but
we do that all the time. You can pretend to be that. We pretend to be it. As part of our job is pretending to be a behavioral analyst.
Yeah, like read the room right now, Taylor. Come on.
One thing, so during my time there, I got to know quite a few like ESPN photographers and staff, and they were just absolutely amazing. And I was talking to one of them, and they were like, I don't really see a lot of teams do this whole pregame thing where they're loose and they're having fun and they're passing the ball back and forth, before they run out onto the court. And like, I always felt like when the Nuggets were loose and like they were having fun, like that's when I felt like, I mean, who knows? I could be totally wrong, but personally, that's how I felt. Like when things were loose and light, like then it was going to be a good game.
Doesn't that like plays right into the personality of Nikola Jokic, right? Like if he's fun, if he's joking around, if the Joker is joking, like that things are going to go well for the Nuggets.
Yeah, I would totally agree with that. Yeah, absolutely.
Don't lie. Be completely honest with
us.
For
once in this interview, would you please not lie?
Don't lie. When they were down 17 points in Game 5 against Utah, was there any part of you that was like, it'd be kind of nice to go home right now?
No, I was like, we've already, we're in the playoffs. I was like, I want them to keep going. But one thing I did not do, and I regret, was not packing at all before each elimination game. Obviously, it worked out for me in Utah and with the Clippers. But yeah, when the Lakers series happened, I was not packed at all. So that was stressful. But.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, like how did that work? When the game ended, did the timer start? You had like 30 minutes to get the F out of the bubble. I mean, how did that work?
Yeah, no, I mean it was insane. Like personally, because I wasn't packed, but you look at 3 months of your life just like spread out through your hotel room, and you're like, dang, like I really should have packed. But we would get home after those 9 p.m. games. We'd get home at like 1 a.m, and we had to be out. Like I think our plane was at like noon or 1 or something, or like the bus was at noon. So yeah, it was.
What do you travel with the team pre-pandemic? Were you on the road for all those?
Yeah, Bob Nikolai, our senior producer, him and I would either like split trips or like we would go on the long ones together. So
I'm curious, is like 10 days on the road in Orlando more difficult than 10 days when it's like an East Coast 5-stop road trip? What's more difficult for you, in your opinion?
I'm sorry, wait, what's
like going to Orlando for 10 days or being on an East Coast road trip for 10 days where there's travel, you're getting up and having to move?
Yeah, I would say, like regular pre-pandemic, like the traveling, that's probably harder. Cause like, I mean, it's a sense of like home, if you will, when you're in the same place for 10 days or in the same place for 83 days. So.
Gotcha. Yeah. All right. Well, we have a video here to kind of wrap it up. The video you sent over, it's behind the scenes. This is some of the stuff, and we're gonna play one of our favorite games, Pause, which is just for look. We have a little graphic here. We just pause it whenever we have little questions, so you can help be our tour guide through this behind the scenes video because there's some funny stuff here.
All right.
Let's give it a roll here. Let me see if I can play this. Okay. How much square dancing?
Pause.
How much square dancing would you say the team does? Is this a pretty common occurrence here?
I mean, I feel like there's quite a few talented dancers on the Nugget squad for sure. But I'm sorry, I don't play video games. Apparently, this is something with like NBA 2K. That is far over my head. Apologies for all you 2K fans, but
way over my head too. I haven't played video games for 30 years. All right, let's see here. They look so light in practice.
Yeah.
Man, the dance isn't over. I thought it was.
No, this is like a minute-long clip.
You guys go with months down here. You guys go ahead.
I like this upcoming one too. Coach in shorts is kind of jarring.
It is really
It's really hot in Orlando. I do not want to go back.
It's really hot on that scooter. Look at that.
No, the scooters. What's the deal with the scooters? Where'd they come from?
It was Tyler Cook had ordered one, so then he just kind of was.
He just ordered one to scoot around the bubble.
Yeah, so he was just kind of scooting around the bubble, and it was actually, believe it or not, it was called a Swagtron scooter. So
that lost all coolness to me.
For sure.
That's the brand, Swagtron. So that's an electric scooter. I mean, I could not be more in on this team.
No, it's a manual, baby.
Oh, I'm back out. I hate this team.
It's like a Razor scooter.
Yeah.
There's no swag with that Tron. Like, come on, get a Razor.
Taylor, Eric owns his own electric.
Yeah, you may notice it right here behind me.
Look at that. And he's very proud of it. Is it cool to own your own scooter or is it not cool?
I'll answer this one.
No, Eric. I'm serious. Taylor can be the judge of this one.
Oh, me? I don't own a scooter, so I mean.
But do you think it's cool that Eric owns one rather than rents one?
Well, before you answer, look at me in relation to the scooter, so you can sort of understand.
I feel like
it plays into my
if it's in your shot, and it must mean something to you. So I think it's cool.
See, Adam, was that so hard? It is very
Moving
cool.
on.
Personal scooter.
Let's see what else we have going on here. Rick, I've never seen Jokic miss before. Are you filming the entire practices?
For the most part, yeah. I don't film, obviously, like plays and stuff. Like when they're doing walkthroughs, I won't do that.
Right. Put that one on. I like it. All right, those are some moves.
Whoa.
How about Vladko?
Our guy.
He gets more handsome every week. More ripped. Oh, there's the king. That's how you ride it. Look at that ice.
Very, very composed stance there from PJ Dozier. Doesn't want to risk injury. Wouldn't expect anything different.
We're going back now. Who's going to shoot the free throw? Rock, paper, scissors.
I feel like this is the worst way to determine, and then PJ shooting it is also a bad decision.
Oh, dude, if there's a gator, you guys got me?
What is happening? Pause. We need a little backstory. What is the context?
That was on the way to a pool workout, and they were throwing around a football, and one went over the bridge into the marsh. So, of course, Matt Tuttle was the sacrificial ball boy, so we had to. He's a little short, though, so we had to help him get over the ledge.
I love that there was a real live concern for a gator.
No, Disney told us that. They were like, don't go in the water.
Yo, don't you remember like a few years ago when like a little girl...
Oh, God. Moving on, Eric.
When
you're a parent, you no longer... Like, those stories, I can't read them. So I do remember that. I tried to forget it. Oh, yeah. What is this?
Oh, yeah.
we saw this in the videos, when they came out. What the heck was going on?
Yeah, so I feel like before like really difficult, big games, started, coaches would start practice with like a game of tag or like what is it, like sharks and minnows, just like stuff like that.
I'd have to consult with my daughter. I don't know.
And it was so fun. That was like, honestly, Adam, when you told me like we're gonna talk about your favorite moments in the bubble, like pre-practice, like tag was definitely like top 5 for me. It was so fun to watch because they'd just be like just having a ball and everything was loose and fun, and like the Nuggets would lose and then we'd open up practice the next day with tag, and it was awesome. So.
This is so crazy.
So tell the truth, is that how Will Barton got hurt? Playing sharks and minnows.
This freeze frame, I guess. They are. That's like a genuine laugh there. Look at
Look at that embrace.
Yeah, and like coach would play too.
He has no further comments.
I had no idea that the Nuggets were so goofy.
Very goofy, supremely goofy. What a good,
that was awesome.
video. Great work,
was
Taylor.
Thanks, guys.
We enjoyed your footage all throughout the bubble. Like every little kernel we got behind the scenes was just like manna from heaven. You did a fantastic job with it.
Well, thanks. It was awesome to be there. It was awesome to show what the Nuggets are doing. They're a great group of guys, and can't really say much better than that. So,
have you heard anything about coming up next? Like, I mean, you're in limbo just like everybody else is. Who knows what the season starts, like the draft. I mean, who knows what's going on? Are you also feel like you're just kind of waiting for your next assignment?
Yeah, like I said, it's a lot of Netflix. I haven't really. I'm just kind of sitting here like waiting for the call. So hopefully it's soon.
Thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate it. The fans loved it. Everybody, go check out Taylor. Actually, don't follow her. She doesn't care if you do or don't
she specifically did not put her hand up.
I just posted on Instagram today for the first time in a very long time. So.
Follow her on Instagram.
We're moving up. We're over on Instagram now. Taylor, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Awesome. Thanks, you guys. That was fun.
All right, Harrison, do you want to take us into our first break here? Do you want to? Let me see if I could start some music. I guess that would probably be the appropriate thing here to give you a cue. Ooh, I'll play my favorite one again. You guys remember this?
From last night? Sure
do.
do.
Last night, yeah. It's a good one.
Do you guys remember this shirt from last night when I was wearing it?
One thing we didn't ask Taylor, what was the alcohol selection like down in the bubble? Think they had any Breck Brew down there? I mean, I don't know.
Maybe.
I'm not sure.
They use the Breck Brew locator, and maybe it tells you right where in Disney World they have it.
Maybe. If you guys want to pick up some Breck Brew, you can use the Breck Brew beer locator to find out where you can get some. Also, check out the Broncos Country IPA. You can't miss it. It's in that blue and orange can with the Broncos logo on it. Pick it up at your local liquor store, at King Super Safeway. You can go to the Breck Brew Farmhouse as well. It's an awesome choice. Can't go wrong with any Breck Brew selection.
That might be the top can design of all time. The Broncos Country can design.
Wow, I don't know.
It's it's fantastic.
It is. It's really good.
It's okay.
It's like simple, succinct.
But the typography for Broncos Country is like so spot on. It's like fun, playful. It's also vintage feeling.
Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot more than the. I liked the Mile High City Copper Lager logo.
Yeah.
The can. I like the Broncos one
classic.
more though.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Also, guys, MSU Denver Online. I took a class there this last summer. So did Ali Monroy, our coworker here at DNVR. Both had an awesome experience. Teachers were great. Shut up, Eric. The course content was great. And they have perfected the art of online education in a day and age when that's really the only option we've got. So
get out of here.
Hit up msudenver.edu/online. They have their entire online course list there. You can take a class coming up for this spring semester. They have summer classes, of course, next fall too. Check it out no matter what type of student you are.
Oh, man. Just such a great song.
What about me, a poor student? Is that even good for me?
Apparently,
yes.
it's Wednesday today, guys. Oh, sorry. We're on a delay here. That's the one problem with this faulty internet is we all get on a delay here. Votes just texted. He said he'll be joining in just a moment.
Good to hear from him.
So today, over at our friends over at The Athletic, and my buddy Seth Partnow, has begun a player ranking. He says it's not a player ranking; it's a player ranking. Look at this, guys. This is a player ranking. Oh man, look who we have here. Hold on, let me see if I can. I can't add him for some reason. There he is. Boom! Look at this.
That was
Bring
so
a
weird.
little,
Did you guys see
a little color.
Look at this.
Did you guys see how I was here at the start of this show, and then it just booted me, and I haven't been able to get back in?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Wow,
we
that's so
It's
crazy,
crazy.
man.
I mean, I've been sitting here the whole time.
we didn't want you part of it. We
Yeah.
didn't want you being involved.
Well, welcome to the show. This is a huge downgrade. We just had Taylor
that's rough.
Vincek on it, and we just with
that's
Brendan.
rough.
This
That's my bad.
is really rough. But we are going to close out the show. So at the Athletic today, guys, my buddy Seth Partnow, he's ranking all of the players in the NBA. He says it's not, but it is. It's a ranking. He's ranking them, and we've been wondering. This is our first player ranking of the off. Usually these come right before the season kicks up again. This one's coming right at the heels of the season. But we've been wondering, where is Jamal Murray going to land? He has Jamal Murray in Tier 3. You guys hear that?
Yeah.
Tier 3.
Jamal Murray's in Tier 3, which is, by my account, puts him somewhere between, let's see, they had the number at the top here. Let me see if I can find it. Something like the 17th best player all the way to like the 57th, I believe. That's what that encompasses.
It's a big tier.
It's a huge tier. It's a really big tier. But for what it's worth, he had him towards the top of that tier. I'm just curious what you guys. This is our first sort of data point for where Jamal Murray is being viewed now after this hot bubble. What's your initial reaction to this, Wind?
I mean, do you have who he's around at all?
I'm trying to pull it up because
I mean, I'm guessing he's around like
I had it in the wrong
the
thing.
Drew Holidays of the world. Like, I mean, I would obviously rank him ahead of Drew Holiday.
Exactly where he is.
The
100%.
Tatums of the world.
That's exactly where they have him. If you look at the guards that are in here, Kemba Walker, Kyle Lowry, Donovan Mitchell, Bradley Beal, Devin Booker. He's right there. And again, Seth is trying to pretend it's not a ranking, so he doesn't actually have them like. But he's in the 3A. If you just look at the list they have, Ben Simmons right above him, Drew Holiday right behind him.
Yeah, man. Like, I'm so curious to see how people view like what just happened in the bubble when it comes to the playoffs. Like, coming into next season, is it going to be like a type of prove it mentality where like we saw Jamal Murray play up to this ridiculous level in the bubble, and some people aren't quite sure, was he just an unbelievable shooter there because of the circumstances? Is that not going to translate to the regular season?
Right.
I feel like we're going to enter next season with just like, all right, you did that in the playoffs, now you got to prove it you can do it in like a regular arena, in a regular season environment. There's going to be a lot of that aspect to it. So, I mean, if you were going off like what he did in the playoffs, he was one of the best players in the bubble. Like, he was one of the best players there. So I feel like it's a decent spot for him, but people are going to like really want to see if he can replicate that in a normal environment.
No doubt. So wait, where's Donovan Mitchell in that list?
He's right there with him. I think again they have him slightly behind, like 7 spots behind.
7.
The tier 3, the way they have it is Bam Adebayo at the top of this tier, then Ben Simmons, then Jamal Murray. So Jamal Murray ends up 3rd, which if we're taking this as a straight ranking, that would make Jamal Murray, I believe, the 19th best player in the NBA. Again, Seth has said that these tiers are don't think of the number of the tiers, even though he has put them in order.
But screw him. He's wrong. It's
I know, right? As soon as you put things, some kind of list together, and now it's time to attack. He's wrong.
I think Jamal Murray is a two-faced player. We've said this for a while, and I don't mean this. He's a young player. A lot of young players are, but the good version of him, we've all thought was like, man, he can get hot like few players can, and he looks awesome. And at his best, he looks like this. At his worst, maybe here. I feel like what this playoffs has done, in addition to raising his profile and raising his ceiling, it's also like people are now buying the good version of Jamal. And the bad version of Jamal is just young Jamal. A Jamal that is being left in the past. Even if it makes a few appearances, it's a Jamal that's leaving. And I think that's what what this ranking signifies.
I also think Jamal, based off what we've seen in his career outside of those playoffs in the bubble, we would have said this is actually a little too high. But based off the playoffs alone, it feels a little low, and so I'm actually going to slide in and say it's about just right, in my opinion.
Ooh.
And I think you do need to see We don't. I don't think, as people who watch the Nuggets and write about the Nuggets, we don't need to see him do this across 82 games. But I think if you're doing rankings, you know what I mean, to really put him ahead of some of these guys, there does need to be a larger sample size than what really was probably the biggest outlier, like, context, right? Where everything that came from the bubble is really hard to project across normal basketball circumstances. So I get it.
Yeah, it is funny, like, when you start to... I mean, all of these rankings are completely ridiculous, and they're, like, kind of arbitrary in a lot of ways. But, like, I mean, are we looking at what the highest height is for each player, or just what the aggregate, like, what you get, like, based on... Like, because Jamal Murray... Like,
that's more a you question, you know? For Seth, maybe it's one thing, but for you,
no, I didn't put this goddamn list together. It's not a me question. No, that is the funny thing. Like, when you look at this, like, what, you know, when the chips are down and when things are... I mean, to me, that's, like, the true measure of a player is, like, what you can expect out of them when the most is required of them, which... You know, it's kind of an unfair way to look at it, just because you don't always see that from most players, because they're not put in high leverage situations. But to see what Jamal did when the whole world was watching, well, when a small sect of the world was watching, and I know, and when it really mattered, like, I just can't. I would take him over Ben Simmons. I would take him over Bam Adebayo. There's just like so many players like that you can't get. I mean, he and Donovan Mitchell are now like pretty much the same guy in my mind. Like they give their team they have the same level of explosivity, and they both matured to a level where you can start to look at them as like a real leader of the team.
Let me ask you this, because I'm with you if you just watch that first round. What I think is so interesting is that Game 7 of that Clippers series happened, and Jamal Murray and Jokic both, but really Murray just like took it to him in the closing moments. And my question is, we don't know the answer to this, but do you think Donovan Mitchell would have had a closeout Game 7 against the Clippers like Jamal did? 40 points.
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Yes. Next.
Okay. Honestly, that's my question. Do you feel the same way, Vote, that he could have done that?
I'm not as sure as Eric, but I have no desire to like say Mitchell can't do any of these things. You know?
I agree. That's exactly how I would feel. Like, I'd say I think so, but I don't know. And that's cool with Murray that we're like, yeah, we know. No, right. he absolutely can. And in fact, when you go back and rewatch that Game 7, including the clip we just showed in the previous segment, like him hitting that fall away three in Kawhi Leonard's face, that's such a Murray shot. You know, it's such a Murray's going to hit that one. You gave him too much space, and the game that was his ability to just like slam the door shut. He's hitting that one 100 times out of 100.
Yeah, I mean that's such a desirable trait for, and that's what helps move you up these rankings in people's minds. Is just like whether or not you have that thing, like that extra level. It's not can you hit shots in practice? Can you put them on Kawhi Leonard? You know, when everything matters.
Yeah,
it's so dope that the answer is yes.
I know.
We just know that definitively.
Yeah, unequivocally. Yeah. You want to see how many examples do you want? We have a bunch.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm curious because I think the only Nugget player we're going to expect in the top tier is obviously Jokic, and now I'm curious to see if he's a tier 1 player, if he's a tier 2 player. Like,
so ready to be mad about this.
So ready to cancel my subscription to the Athletic.
It's such off-season time where you just get mad about lists.
Who's the most like Rudy Gobert ends up above him?
I'm already angry.
Wait, did you say that Tatum's behind him?
Let me look at my list here.
Well, these aren't actual rankings, though.
Well,
not a list.
Lower in the tier.
No, Tatum appears to be a tier 2 player.
Now I'm angry.
No, that's fair because Tatum had. Oh wait, no, that's bullshit.
I also think it's funny like just the idea of player rankings in general. I've always said this is like the dumbest thing where we pretend. I honestly think there's 2 tiers of player in the NBA: LeBron James and the rest of the NBA. Like there's one guy that just seems to be good enough that you can just put people around him and he'll be in the finals every year. But every other player is like, no, they need the right kind of role players. And then when you start talking about the right kind of role players, what are we actually talking about? Skill sets that fit within a broader context, which again, why do we place values on certain skill sets when it's only because those fit within the context of other things? And this is kind of what I'm getting at. Like, there's a lot of players that I think are, and this, I'm sorry, guys, brings me a little bit to the Lonzo Ball thing. Like, and he can be a terrible player, but I just think that he can be also a phenomenal ingredient. He's like, paprika. I always compare these players to ingredients, but like, it's not great on everything. But you sprinkle a little in there, and boom, came together.
Yeah, sometimes you're just paprika away from a championship,
Sometimes from a perfect stew or something, you're like, man, it's missing something. What is it that this thing is missing? You throw that paprika in there, and you're like, holy hell, we got something here. We really have something. All right, that was a perfect. I thought this was going to create conversation, but you guys all just like your eyes glazed over.
Well, I mean, do we think that Jamal Murray is appropriately placed? It seems like top 20 in the NBA. That feels high and appropriate at the same time.
It does feel high and appropriate. Let's take one last break here. Do you have your final ad read here, Harrison?
Always.
I know there's a shorter one, but let's take a quick break, and then when we come back, let's ask that question as well as the question of, does this put pressure on Murray? If you're a top 20 player and you come in and you have a bad first month of the season, are people talking about you like, what's wrong with him? We'll ask that on the other side.
You guys can get a Strava Craft Coffee subscription for 20% off with the code DNVR20. You can get your coffee delivered every 2, 3, 4, 6, or 8 weeks. You can also get Strava Craft Coffee cold brew at the DNVR bar here in Denver. If you're in the area, pop in, check it out, get a glass of cold brew. But if you're not, hit up StravaCraftCoffee.com. You can get 20% off any product you are subscribing to with a Strava Craft Coffee subscription. Get that coffee every 2, 3, 4, 6, or 8 weeks. And of course, we've got week 6 of football in the books. We got week 7 coming up. DraftKings Sportsbook is bringing back their can't miss offer. They're giving all new users the chance to earn a sign-up bonus up to $1,000 when signing up with the promo code DNVR. That's the thing. You got to use the promo code DNVR when you sign up at DraftKings Sportsbook to get that sign-up bonus up to $1,000. If football's not for you, UFC 254 this weekend. We got the World Series going on. We got tons of other sports to bet on DraftKings as well. So make sure to download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code DNVR when you sign up to get up to $1,000. That's code DNVR to get a sign-up bonus up to $1,000 for a limited time only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older. Colorado only. Bonus comprised of a first deposit bonus and a first bet match, each up to $500.
Can't wait
deposit
to gamble
bonus
this weekend. Sunday. I can't wait. I'm so excited for it. Like showing restraint throughout the week because I want to go crazy on Sunday.
Deposit bonus requires a 25x playthrough. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700. We've also got to do a DraftKings pick of the week, guys.
Okay,
DraftKings pick of the week.
What is it going to be?
Well, we were just talking about Jamal Murray, and DraftKings has the MVP odds for next season.
I feel like this is bad advice. We're going to put Jamal Murray down.
If you just want to throw a couple dollars on Jamal Murray, he's plus 6,000. Plus 6,000. You could bet $10 to win $610.
That's true. You could bet $10 to lose $10.
I was gonna say, if you bet $10 on that with that odds, you lose $10.
I mean, what if we just get bubble Jamal Murray?
Oh baby!
Like it's probably not.
Yeah.
It's not likely, but it's on the table.
Dude, I could actually 1,000% see a scenario in which the Nuggets are the 1 seed. They win 68 games, and everyone's like, "Well, it's not Jokic. We can't." And you're like, "What? Come on!" Like, no, this guy can't be as good as they said. It's Murray. We give it to Murray.
Well, Murray's plus 6,000. Yoke is plus 2,000.
I mean, look, dude. If the Nuggets win 60 games and Murray ups his points per game by 10 and his assists by 3 and his field goal percentage by 15, I could see it.
There's voter fatigue. Well, I mean, there's voter fatigue for Giannis, but unless LeBron just has a really bad year, he's probably in the driver's seat to win it.
Really?
Anyways, I would think so. You don't think LeBron has pressured the voters into voting for him next year yet?
He might have bullied him. You're right.
I'm just worried about the Anthony Davis MVP campaign.
Oh my god, they're gonna
I'm
be
disgusted. I'm
co-MVPs,
taking
and
a year
Lakers
off of
fans are gonna be
NBA.
like, incredible. This is teamwork and it's best.
It's like actually first team All NBA is only 2 players this year. The rest of you can just F off.
You guys see my dog that was accused of being a cat by Edgar? He's like, we didn't see your cat. Look at my dog. He's resting in the least comfortable way.
Is that Councilman?
No, this is Millhouse.
Oh, that's Millhouse. Okay. Just to prove that I have made the correct metaphor, the homie Miroslav comes through. You need paprika for Serbian fish stew.
Clutch.
Boys, what are we cooking here in Denver? We're cooking Serbian fish stew. The Nuggets have all their ingredients. They're just missing a little paprika. That's all they're
Is
got to
this
figure out.
Alonzo take? Is
This is Alonzo take. Yes, he's the paprika that you throw in the fish stew.
Ridiculous.
But seriously about Murray, though, here kind of to wrap up the show, guys, do you feel like he... let's assume all these rankings come out and they have him like this high. Do you feel like this maybe puts an unnecessary expectation or pressure on him, or do you think, hey, it's the big time? This is you got to live up to it every day now? What do you think there, Eric?
I mean, he's ready for it. Like, Jamal Murray made a leap. He's ready, man. Like, I'm not really nervous about any pressure or anything being applied to him outside of just people setting their own expectations and then being disappointed if he doesn't hit it. But like, I'm not worried about Jamal feeling like overwhelmed by like expectation on him. I really think that he's hit a point where like his maturation was so like, it was so, it just happened overnight and it was so intense. Like going from pre-bubble Murray to post-bubble Murray. Like, I mean, but pre-bubble Murray, we were talking about like a lot of, like, his demeanor in interviews sometimes, and is he, is he serious about this and blah blah blah, and like now, I mean, I'm ready to pencil him in for 20 plus points a night to be, everything we're expecting him to be. I just wouldn't be surprised by any of it, and I can't imagine he's feeling the weight of the world at all.
I think Jamal puts that weight on himself. I think he's just that kind of a competitor where he's either welcoming that or engineering it if it's not there anyway. I do think the team as a whole has entered that realm. I think this is going to be the season where it's, where now it really is, I think, that territory where the next 2 years, when the Nuggets lose, they are going to start to get called frauds and maybe people have a leg to stand on, which is a good problem to have. I think they've turned that corner. But it's not just Jamal now. I think Jamal and Yoke and Malone are going to be held to the standards of a Western Conference Finals team, as well they should.
Yeah, for me, Jamal, like, just learning more and more about his story, he's somebody who's always, like, carried this huge chip on his shoulder. Coming from Canada, not getting the type of exposure that he would have gotten in the U.S., like, he's been an underdog, and even though he was drafted 7th, went to Kentucky, he kind of does fit the whole underdog mantra of this team. And now that he's getting some of that respect, I don't really see that kind of putting him on too high of a horse or that making him not play with a chip on his shoulder. I think he's always going to have that. And now that he's getting some of the respect, I think it might honestly even motivate him like even more.
Yeah. I could see that, the motivate him even more, because I think we saw this with Jokic. Like, I really believe this about Jokic. He came in, he was goofy his first year. Like, he just wanted to, like, be in the NBA. And then he was like, wow, I'm actually pretty good. And by the end of his, I don't know, second or middle of his third season, something clicked with him where he's like, I actually have a chance to be great. Like,
Yeah.
I'm really good at this game, and I'm close enough. And maybe it was game 82. Maybe all of these different steps along the way. I just think once he got close enough, it motivated him to be even better. And I wonder if Murray, being in this company now and looking at that and going, wow, they have me as the 19th best player in the world, and this all happened in 1 year. I mean, sometimes, not to bring this too close to home, but sometimes I feel this way about, like, the company, where you're like, okay, we can be the pesky startup, and then you go like, oh man, we've had some success. Why can't we be even better than even our projections? And I wonder if Murray feels sort of a similar thing here, where it's like, okay, I'm in the club now.
Right.
Now it's time to own the club.
Yeah. Also, like, the hunger that this team has isn't going away. If anything, there's even more hunger now, I think. Like, when you get a taste of success, at least in my experience, and I have to think this is the same for NBA players, you just want more and more of it. Like, it's different when you like, don't make the playoffs for a couple years in a row compared to, all right, you get to the second round, then you get to the Western Conference Finals.
Right.
Like, that hunger is only growing and growing inside of these guys and Murray.
Well, yeah, and like being talked about, like
Yes.
seeing your name pop up on the
You
bottom
want
ticker
more of
of
that.
the jump, and
So-
like
Yeah.
I was thinking Murray's like two most famous moments so far were dribbling around Lonzo Ball and unfortunate Instagram post. Like this is the first time he's like a household name because he dropped 50 points and he's actually like, like this. And so I do wonder if there's hey, you play well enough on the highest stage, you actually don't have to bark at all. People just recognize it, and now there's a chance for him to chip away even more. I do wonder sometimes about whether or not this will be in contrast to the Nuggets' success. Next year Michael Porter has to become a part of the team, and that's one goal. And like, if the whole team focuses on that, like I feel like they can get there. But maybe Murray's like, my other goal is to average 24 points per game, and this or that. So I don't think it'll become an issue. It's just one thing I have in the back of my mind. Any other parting thoughts on Murray?
Well, it's just the same deal as when he signed that contract. We know he hasn't been paid yet, but it's like the one thing that the four of us do know about this person, and we don't never want to pretend you know these guys, but we know this about Jamal. He is about this life, and he's not going to rest on his laurels. He's not going to get paid and disappear. I think getting better and having those TNT promos and all those things you just said, they matter to Jamal as much as the money, I would wager. And I know it's a lot of money, but I expect this kid to be in the lab and on his grind, for the rest of his career.
I thought about this with Jokic when he got that contract, because Murray, I don't know if his first check has arrived yet on the new contract. I think he might still be getting the old wage, which is, imagine those checks are still enormous. But there is something different when you your net worth is $12 million and your net worth all of a sudden is $50 million. And like, that's a moment that's about to happen for him. So not that I think there's like any reason to think it's a concern or this or that, but it is something that's going to happen to him over the course of this offseason that will be a significant life change.
he'll probably get like a better bird, I would think.
Oh, come off it. What
Well,
was
get
wrong
that
with
parakeet.
bird?
You know,
Oh my!
I mean, like, that's like
name
that-
one better bird.
An African gray. I don't know, a blue jay.
Blue Jays are really good. They're really good, man. They're my personal.
Top bird.
They're a good one. I don't know if they'd make a good like crawling all over you bird. Everybody, thanks so much for hanging out today. Though you guys know tomorrow we're gonna be back at noon as our usual. Wait, tomorrow? No, Friday. We're gonna be back Friday with the DNVR show to send you off into the weekend. Can't wait for it. Bookmark it. If you're on YouTube, don't forget, hit subscribe, hit the like button, maybe leave a comment as soon as this is over.
Even if you don't like it, just like it.
That could be our question for for real. That'll be our question for the day today. It's just, what do you make of Jamal Murray's the first wave of his ranking? Do you think that there's anything the Nuggets should be concerned about it, or he should be concerned? Does he climb from here? Does he go backwards? Let us know all those good takes. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. See y'all next time. See if I can nail this. Probably can't.
That's a